I had to restart several times because the hats were bothering me. It's so funny. Sometimes I could be just that pedantic about something so worthless. Right. Anyway, so hey, what's up? It's Kit. Time for another video. Today, um, we're gonna raw dog this whole thing. So what I mean by that is that this video is not going to be edited. Okay, so I adjusted the contrast and whatever for the capturing software. At least it doesn't look weird, because normally what I do is import it to a software, and then I tweak everything there, cut a little bit of the parts and stuff that kind of makes the video long and all that, but pretty much everything is like one take. But for this particular video, and probably others that would follow this for a short while, it's all going to be from the capture software straight onto YouTube. Also, you would notice that I have made this microphone visible because there's an ongoing effort, obviously, for the audio to be as clear as possible. So we have adjusted the gain for this, and hopefully, since again, with the software I was using before, I was also tweaking the volume and the clarity of the video. So hopefully the audio that is straight from this software, the capture software, would be okay. And well, if it's acceptable and all that. Now, gear ratios. This is an expansion. This video is an expansion of the video. So basically, in this video, I'm showing you the importance of the gear ratio for the reels, because in a real world scenario, I'm gonna show you exactly what I have experienced. And this is in a type of fishing that, believe it or not, is something that's common for a lot of people. A and B is a type of fishing that can be practiced anywhere. And C, the entry for this type of fishing is actually not bad. Okay, and that is ultralight fishing. So we have 3 reels here that I use. Okay, and I haven't used this for a really long time. I really should, but these two are both high gear, and then I have a power gear. Okay, now speed is very important because it makes or breaks your presentation. And for me, okay, there are situations where you would be using the HG for ultralight fishing, and guess what? It's also kind of useful. Okay, well, it is useful. Okay, so you are looking at a few applications for this. Obviously, you have your smaller lures. You have some soft plastics, and there are also a number of applications like jigs that you would want to have something like this. So really small tungsten jigs on let's say a rod such as this one right here, and this is a Dialuna. This reel actually balances well with this rod, and I've used it before. Okay, and this is a size 2000, or sorry, this is a size 1000, and then the rest, there's actually like a 2000. Now this 1000 size reel is one of my mainstays. Now remember that you have a fast retrieve or fast ratio reel, okay, but the spool is small. Now you go to these guys right here, and you have a fast also an HG, okay, and when you reel it in, it winds onto a bigger spool. So this reel is technically faster than this one right here, even if they share the same gear ratio. Granted that this one's a Daiwa, this one's a Shimano, but for all intents and purposes, these are actually the same sized reels with different spools. Now, or different sized spools. Now, you see one here. This is, again, a 2000 sized reel. It's a PG. Okay? it has a big spool. And this is why I'm actually showing you guys these 3 reels, because this is actually kind of like this with a bigger spool. So this 2 reels, okay, with a slower gear ratio is something like this. Now, this is older than those 2, and mind you, I've been using this for quite some time before I realized something. And this is when I mean, I've known about gear ratios for a really long time, obviously, because back then, okay, let's say in the 90s, when, you know, I was like really fishing, the reels that I was using was from the 80s. Okay, so reels were actually a few, really few and far in between in the Philippines while I was growing up. So the one that I had, the very first brand that I had, the decent brand, was Daiwa. Okay, so it was a rod and reel that my uncle gave me. So my dad's elder brother, he was a ship captain and gave me like a light rod and reel. Now, the thing with that rod and reel is that it was slow. Okay, and there were a few things that I could do really well with it. Okay, but I was wondering why it was taking me so long to actually, you know, bring the line in, and I would wind super fast. Now, here's the thing. Now, imagine that when you're fishing, your mind is hot wired, okay, into reeling just like that. You're relaxed reeling. So you actually have a default winding speed in your hand. Okay, it could be I reel right. Sorry, I reel left. Some people reel right. Okay, if whatever's comfortable with you, I'm not gonna go into the physics of that, but there is a right way of doing things. Now for me, it's my left. Okay, now there is a default speed of your winding without you noticing. So when you're fishing, you know, it could be that you're just winding. Now when you're winding, remember, I did mention before that when you're winding, okay, you have your own default speed, and that is winding it the way that you're unconsciously doing, okay, with your default winding speed, you're unconsciously, okay, and that's how you normally work your lures. So you cast out, okay. So here's the thing. So even if the same ratio is present between this reel and that, just because this has a bigger spool, guess what? The retrieve speed that it has increases. Okay, now remember, in the previous example, we were comparing a size 8,000 with a size 14,000, which is literally almost double the size. But with the same speed, you've actually increased by a lot. Okay, so we're talking about the 8,000 PG, and then 14,000, same speed, because guess what? It's just the same reel with a different spool, same size body, which is literally like this and this one right here. They have the same body size, but the spool is different. So when you're casting out a lure and you're reeling it in and the line comes in, guess what? What you don't know what's happening is that that lure is moving just a tad faster. And sometimes that's all it takes for either the fish to actually grab the lure, or the fish to totally ignore it. Now, the reason why I'm talking to you about ultralight is because it's absolutely critical for you to nail the right speed for the fish to respond. Now, we're not talking of smaller fish here. We're actually talking about bigger fish. So this ultralight reel right here has caught several 5-pound fish, okay, or 2.5-kilo fish. This is actually, that's kind of regular for this reel right here, and this is a size 1,000. Now the other reel that I use regularly with this is actually a Stella 1000, which I still have in a box. I couldn't freaking find the damn thing, but it is a size 1000, and that's even worse because guess what? That's my main reel. Okay, and there's a reason why it's my main reel, and there's a reason also that of all the reels that I have or have access to, I have a size 1000 Stella, because guess what? That is the most reliable reel for the smaller fish that I have, and that's what I've been using to target bigger fish. Okay, so these guys, they could probably withstand, like, you know, the punishment of like 2.5, 3 kilo fish and stuff. But if there's a chance of actually landing like 5 kilo and up, I'll put my money with the Stella. Okay, so that's why I have that reel. It just because of the reliability that it presents. But okay, that's a different story. But guess what? That has a PG, and so is this one. And this is the reel that actually made me decide to get the Stella. Now, here's the thing. One of the most, or two, I wouldn't say one, right? Two of the most used ultralight lures that I really pay attention to. Most of the time, these two types of lures is what I use a lot of to break a place down. Okay, first is soft plastics. Okay, so soft plastics, very interesting there, because there are two types of soft plastics that you know, we commonly use: those that you crawl on the bottom and those that you swim. Okay, now this is absolutely critical when it comes to these small reels, because for those that you crawl on the bottom, you could use a fast retrieve reel, cast it out, let it sink to the bottom, and move it slowly by just moving the rod. Okay, so cast out, all right, and then reel, take the slack off, move it, you move the rod. Okay, now here's what happens if you actually do a slow wind. Now, with a slow wind, remember, it's not your default speed, so you'll be inconsistent. All right, so if you're reeling slowly, guess what? That lure is not going to swim properly. If it's a swimming lure, we're talking of paddle tails or even curly tail grubs. Okay, I don't really use a lot of curly tails. Instead, what I use are the spike tails, which is just the straight tail, and paddle tail. So you cast it out, you know, you work it, you reel it in straight, whatever. Okay, there's hardly a wrong way to fish soft plastics. However, for these swimming soft plastics, it's very critical to actually get the right speed. Now, guess what? You know, you reel up with your regular reeling speed. What happens is, because this thing is light, it's going to go up. Okay, and instead of actually fishing it in the middle of the water column, and remember, you're fishing shallow water, or near the bottom, what happens is that it'll go up real fast out of the strike zone. There goes your chance. And most of the time, when you're fishing shallow water, especially with stuff like this, the fish will spook. Okay, now secret weapon is the PG. Okay, so the PG for swimming lures, okay, and I think it's really not efficient for those things, those types that you actually work near the bottom. Okay, but for those that you hardly move as well, it's also killer, because guess what? There are soft plastics that you hardly move. Now, it's up to you to look for those, but you know, they're out there. Now, for those swimming soft plastics, the paddle tails, tiny small paddle tails, you cast out, you reel in, and your default speed, literally just like that, you know, you could relax, not even think about anything, and that's the speed that you actually fall onto. It's like your brain's cruise control reeling speed. So while I'm doing this, guess what? That lure is moving at the right depth and also keeps the tail swimming, okay, without it gaining momentum and actually going up. So that's a big thing. Now, guess what other thing is good for this? Small plugs that you cast out and swim instead of actually jerk. Okay, crankbaits, very good. very good for small crankbaits. But that's not the other segment that I was talking about. Okay, so soft plastics and spoons. Small spoons I found, cast out on this and you reel it in, even when you're reeling fast. What happens is that it doesn't make the spoon twist, it just makes it swim and actually wobble. Okay, now do that with a faster reel and it starts to spin. And this is the reason why, you know, when I had realized that, hey, holy crap, I could actually target like big fish and I need a reliable reel. And guess what? Instead of a composite bodied reel such as this one right here, which is a cheap Soiree from Shimano, I got myself a Stella and you know, a 1000 size. So going after brim, and sometimes, you know, you have grunter that make the appearance, and these guys can grow quite sizable. Also, when you're fishing in the flats, there are golden trevallies that also roam it. Now you can see the mouth of the golden trevally. It's actually like a vacuum cleaner. So goldies, yeah, kind of like an issue there. So I had to get myself like a reliable reel that explains my main reel. Unfortunately, yeah, it's in a box. In a box. So I've been getting some of the reels out of storage, and I'm running out of room to just put them on top. So we're gonna have to like really arrange this office space pretty soon. Anyway, so very, very critical. Now, a lot of people obviously think that you could just either stop or just slow down, and guess what? Um, in the flats, okay, sometimes you have the luxury of actually being the only person and, you know, being the only one to present your lures in front of a shitload or a crap load of swimming fish. But it's not always the case, you know. Um, it's never only the case. So there are some places here that we used to fish before that is close to the public now. Unfortunately, we can't really fish them. But before it closed, I wasn't the only one fishing for these fish. They are highly spooked, and sometimes you have to also be really fast. Now, in situations where there's a swift current going from right to left, guess what? You need a fast reel to manage the line. Okay, so when there's current, you always need to manage your line like really fast, especially when you're dealing with light lures. So yeah, a fast retrieve ratio reel is critical. But most of the time when we're fishing in an area with ultralight stuff, guess what? It's almost always calm with very little current. So this is where again the PG shines. If you're the type of person that you know, has an ultralight reel and it's XG, I don't know what you're fishing for. All right, so for me, I stay away from extremely fast reels or extremely fast gear ratios for presentation of smaller stuff, because although there are some types of fish that go really, really fast, you know, for the small stuff, they don't really move that fast. Okay, so representation is actually kind of slower. Yes, there are techniques like lift and fall that you could use on faster reels, but not every one of us actually has the experience or has the touch. Like, okay, great, I can do it, you know. But guess what? Not a lot of people, even if you're teaching them, you know, the proper way of doing it, they still cannot get the hang of it. Now, in a high stakes situation, it's better to stick a newbie with something like this. And guess what? They'll feel like a superstar because each and every single time they reel in, again, default reeling speed, the reel doesn't, or sorry, the reel doesn't retrieve line so fast that you have to constantly tell them like, hey, slow down, slow down, slow down. All right? Spoons, especially, because for someone new, You cast out and they reel. They don't know if the spoon is spinning. You only see it when it's in front. And by that time, remember, you're consciously slowing down as the lure actually gets closer. So you don't really see if the spoon is spinning or if the jig is like, near the surface instead of being closer to the bottom. Granted that you're fishing in areas where it's probably just a meter deep or less, okay, in some instances, but you'll find that even if you're off about 6 inches from the strike zone, now these fish are smaller, okay, and they won't chase after that 6 inches. Sometimes it is kind of too far for a lot of the smaller fish, and you tend to miss a lot of strikes just because of that. So speed, especially in this segment where they're tiny, is absolutely critical. And guess what? This is just a gateway to the bigger stuff that we have discussed yesterday. And in the following videos, we're going to be discussing more specific techniques that rely on speed to actually elicit strikes. Okay, so we're talking of popping, we're talking of jigging, we're talking of stick baiting, and all of those deal with speed. Okay, now I know it's kind of counterintuitive for like fast jigging to actually have a slow reel. Okay, so again, once we, I think I've discussed that actually when we were talking about fast jigging, but that's it. All right, so when it comes to ultralight, speed is absolutely critical. Okay, there's not a single small fry or fish that burn in the water like, super fast. Most of the time they're swimming like quite slow. So mind your reels. There are a lot that sell, a lot of brands, okay, Daiwa, Shimano, whatever, that sell a lot of really fast reels because the trend now is actually to go faster and faster. And remember, spinning reels are inherently faster than bait casters or overheads. Okay, so if you think that your reel is actually going slow, think again. These guys actually go faster than you think they are, and it's absolutely critical for you to find out how fast your reels are. Okay, you could be on the pool, you could be somewhere, just cast out, reel in with your default reeling speed, and see exactly if you need to slow down, or in my case, just to make it easier, because, well, I'm kind of like an idiot when it comes to these things. You know, I tend to get excited, and for one reason or another, I just forget to slow the F down. So, low gears. Okay. Now, granted that if you catch something big on this, it's gonna take a while to bring the line in. Okay. Whereas with this one, faster gears, you can bring the line in. But guess what? I choose to enjoy the fight even if it takes quite a long time. On light gear, I enjoy every minute of it, so I don't need to hurry. In fact, I think that if you tend to kind of be in a rush when it comes to very light line, you tend to lose fish. Okay, so there's another one for you guys out there to actually consider looking at: power geared ultralight reels. Okay, that's it for this video. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't yet. Okay, and if you want to help this channel move forward, memberships. And again, I'd like to thank the members, both old and new, that support this channel. Alrighty, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Class dismissed.